Greetings. The International College of Behavioral Counseling presents life-defining axioms. Each axiom contains essential wisdom for living. And today's axiom merely states this: stuff, 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 and more stuff can never bring happiness. Stuff cannot bring happiness. A gentleman brought his wife into my office for therapy, and he said she's demanding me that I should build an extension to our house. And then he tells me, he said, we live in a large home with 3 bedrooms. There's only the two of us. And she wants me to build another 2 bedrooms. Well, the man was a building contractor, and building 2 bedrooms, an extension onto their house, was not a problem. But why did they need 2 extra bedrooms? He furthermore said that we all our kids are gone. They're all married. There's no hope for ever returning and filling the house. And she wants 2 extra bedrooms. And I said, why is that? She said, because the 2 bedrooms that we've already got, plus the master bedroom, are filled with boxes, all kinds of boxes. She shops continuously. She's on internet. She goes to stores. The 2 bedrooms that we have are filled with boxes, some of which are never even opened. And so I looked at her and I said, why do you think this is? And her answer was classic. She said, I just like stuff. And I said, ma'am, stuff is not your problem. Somewhere deep within your psyche, you have a hole that can never be filled. It's an insatiable thirst. It'll never be quenched. Doesn't matter how much you shop. Doesn't matter how much you put into that hole. It is so deep, it'll never be filled. Then I said to her, you know, stuff can never satisfy your craving for what it is that you have. I just like stuff. Well, we need to know some definitions of what the difference is between hoarding and collecting and greed is. Hoarding is a difficulty in discarding things because of a perceived notion that you may have need for them someday. My father grew up as a farmer, and it was during the days when you harvested with combine, with machines, and it produced sheaves. The binders produced sheaves, and they would bind the sheaves or the wheat in packets called sheaves, and it used twine. And there was twine all over the barnyard. There was twine everywhere. My dad would pick up the twine and he'd wrap it around the ball and wrap it around the ball until he had a ball that was this big. I said, Dad, why are you doing this? He said, well, maybe we're going to need it on a rainy day. Well, that rainy day never came, you see, and he sold the farm. And what did the person who bought the farm do with it? I suppose he burnt it. I don't know. But it was during the years of the Great Depression, and everybody saved everything they had because they needed it for something. But in this case, in the day and age in which we live, stuff is not something we need, it's something we store and hoard. Well, there's a difference between a hoarder and a collector. A collector likes to display what he has collected. I have a friend who had 46 revolvers, and he had built a shelf in his house, and every one was displayed on a nice little carpet padding. Everyone was polished to high gloss. He took me to his shooting range, and he said, now look at this. And he put a playing card up in the corner, and he said, watch this. He said, the top left hand heart, and he knocks the heart out. He said, now watch this, the lower right hand heart, and he knocks the heart out. He was a crack shot. He gave me the revolver and he said, now you try the big one right in the middle. You try and get that one. And I went and took the gun and I went, pew. and I missed the card. I missed the backdrop, which all caught all the bullets. I missed the entire thing, and I blew a hole in the side of his barn. He said, "Here, let me take that from you." That's the last time I ever shot any of his revolvers. Well, then there's a thing called I had a man who had 124 CD radios. That's Citizen Bands radio. It was during the days when truckers would communicate one with the other on the Citizens Band. 124 of them. Every time he had a fight with his wife, he bought himself a new band. I was quite happy with that because he gave me two of them, and I used them. Jay Leno, the late night show host who took over after Johnny Carson retired, has 286 vehicles. 286 vehicles, but he has a great big museum-like garage that stores all of them on highly glossed floors, polished. Every one of them is in mint condition, and he loves to display them. There's a difference between a collector and a hoarder. A hoarder is someone. There's the greed. Greed is a thirst. It's a lust. It's a desire to get more and more and more. A survey was taken at a university of 1,000 graduate students, and the question was asked, what do you want to do with this degree in life? 80% of them said, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. 20% of them said, I want to be control. I want to control. I want to be an authority. Not one person said, I want to use my education to benefit people. Greed. Greed will take a politician, for example, and greed will take over his principles. His moral compass will be completely deviated because of greed. It's called corruption. We see that all over the place. Greed. I guess we could call it lust, couldn't we? There's a portion in Psalms chapter 106, verses 14 and 15. And it's the story of the children of Israel who lusted in Numbers, Genesis, Exodus. In Exodus, they lusted for the things of Egypt. They were in the wilderness. God fed them with manna and with water, but they wanted the leeks and the garlics of Egypt. Who'll give us meat? We haven't had meat. And so Solomon said, God, they lusted exceedingly in the wilderness and tempted God in the desert and said, who will give us meat to eat? And so God gave them the desires of their heart, but sent leanness of soul. 23,000, according to historians, died, and they buried them in the desert because they took these quails and they ate them raw and without draining the blood from them. Many of them, 23,000 died, and they buried them in a place called the place of burial in the desert. They lusted after things. Be careful what you lust after. The T-bone steak that you desire so desperately may grind like mud, may grind like mud in your molders. Be careful what you desire. God may give you the desires of your heart, but send leanness of soul. I think you don't need it. As a matter of fact, I want to write an article entitled, How to Increase Your Don't Have and Be Wealthy. That's a good title. How do you increase your don't have? Well, I don't have this, and I don't have a new pair of shoes. I don't have this. Like the lady who packed 13 pairs of shoes for a 2-week vacation. 13 pairs of shoes. I counted them personally. 13 pairs of shoes and 2 suitcases plus everything for a vacation of like 14 days. It might have been 21 days, I don't know, but who needs 14 pairs of shoes? How to increase your don't have and be wealthy. That would be a good title for a book. You don't have things, things own you, things have you. You don't own things. The things have you. They own you. A malcontent person is never content. He's always wanting for something else. Well, listen, dear ones, you can have very little and still enjoy what you have and be wealthy. So increase your don't have and be wealthy. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6 through 8 says this, but godliness and contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain that we will carry nothing with us out. Having therefore food and raiment, let us therewith be content. Be content. Be content. Two ways to be happy, and that's to get everything you want, which is a hole that can never be stuffed with things, or to be happy with your don't have and be wealthy. Now that is good psychology, and that is good theology. I think it's fantastic, essential wisdom for living. I'm Wilf Kent. Visit our website, icbconline.org. Farewell and keep well until next time.